Okay. Hello, everybody. So we are on our third info night of the spring. And if you have been on the other two, you're going to notice that the first couple slides are a little bit of a repeat. But I wanted to make sure that everybody kind of gets the same information. And typically, as we get to our racing level kids, they tend to just pick the one info night. So this is going to be mostly all of you, obviously 420 sailors, but also we have a handful of like high school sailors and parents that are newer to the program, kind of trying to figure out what to do with, your folks that are just graduating out of opties and moving into high school sailing and 420s and such. This is mainly geared towards all of our 420 information, but we'll give a quick overview of what a high school age sailor can do at PY, which is a lot. So if you look at this list, this is who we are. We have two venues. Most of you know all this, but we have two venues. The majority of all of our racing programs are run out of West Point Harbor, and our high school, more of our programs are going to be run out of Chesapeake. Now we stopped everything during COVID, and we're just now starting to use Chesapeake more and more often. And we're going to kind of double up the use of both venues going forward. We have about 80 boats at PYSF. We have a lot of boats. So when you look at all in a list, it's a lot to take care of, and a lot of opportunities for people to sail that aren't in the market of buying their own boat. So when you first look and you go, oh gosh, how am I going to make my way onto all these teams? We provide the tools to get you there. So we have a lot of sailboats. We have two venues. We have, the containers. We have lots of stuff. We also have 9 coaches that are working during the school year, during this season. During the summer, we have anywhere from 15 to 20 coaches. So it's a big program that's getting kind of bigger all the time. We're able to do this growth thanks to the club at West Point. If you were on the info night last week, you heard from Kevin and from Peter at the club. But the great news is they are building up their clubhouse, and that is starting up right now. They're all under construction. Going to our next slide. Okay. For those that are new to our program and for those that are returning, I really want to make sure, that everybody understands what our mission is. So our mission statement is what drives everything that we do. And it is, as we grow and we get bigger, it's really easy to kind of like lose sight of what, where our goal is and where we're going. And this is what centers us all the time. So we have, I just want to read it out loud for those that might not be looking at a screen. Our mission is to provide a comprehensive sailing program for all youth in the Bay Area. From Learn to Sail to nationally recognized travel teams, our classes stress safety and cultivate the values of character, community, and competitiveness. Our program instills lifelong enjoyment and stewardship of our waterways, oceans, and environment. So the things that I really want you to hear when you're reading this, obviously all of it, and it took us a very long time to figure out exactly what words we were going to use in this mission statement. But the things that really, hang in my head are lifelong sailors. And so when you think about learning to sail here at PY and what we hope you will do when you are 19, when you're leaving our program, is that you are going to continue sailing. You are going to be sailing when you are, 95 is my goal, and your grandkids are sailing with you. And this is very much a racing program. We teach you from the very beginning, learn to sail, and we move you all the way through to racing. And you'll notice when we talk through our pathways, they all do lead towards racing. And there are stops along the way where you don't necessarily have to go to a, nationally recognized travel team. There's still sailing options because, again, the end of the day, our goal is to have lifelong sailors. And everybody is very different. And then obviously in all of our classes, then everything that we do, our values are very important. So the competitiveness is there, character, community, those two things are big in everything that we do. COVID didn't quite help with, the community building, but we still have, tried to do as much as we can to keep that going while we've tried to be separate as well. Okay, this is our pathway. These are all the classes that we offer. So our program this season, we are offering 25 different classes, and that's a lot. Our classes are all of these. The two on the left are our intro classes. This is how you get into our program. So obviously the top tier and across the top are all the opti sailing. And then the next tier is anything that a high school aged sailor would do. So we have FJs, we have 420s, and we have keelboats. I am going to go to this. So right here, you'll see, and that's basically just taking away the opti track, the learn to sail track. These are the three types of boats that we have and avenues for sailing for high school age sailors. You'll notice that it's sort of like, three separate tracks, but in reality, it's very interchangeable. So once you, learn to sail in a double-handed boat, you get onto a high school team. You start to learn team racing. You want to learn how to trapeze, and you want to learn how to fly a spinnaker. Great. Maybe you learn spinnakers on keelboats. It's all interchangeable. I think it's for those that are a number of people that are new to the program, and I might not have taught you sailing at some point. We have a handful that, maybe came from another club or joined later, and I might have missed you in like a learn to sail class. So my background is basically I cover all of these paths, and that's kind of what my goal is for all of our sailors at PY. So I grew up sailing in San Diego. We didn't have optis. We had a boat called a Sabot, but it's a small boat like an opti. I did that. I had fun, but I didn't necessarily want to race. I stopped sailing, and I came, when I was 11 or 12, and I came back to sailing as a freshman in high school because my friend that didn't sail at all said, "Hey, look, our high school has a team, and let's join it and see what it's like. Seems like it'll be fun. Cool people are doing it." I joined as a crew my, freshman year of high school. By the time I was a junior, I started driving on my high school team. I started sailing 420s. We had a boat called an Alpha 2. We had Laser 2s, other boats that are, similar to like a 420. I did youth worlds. As crews, as a crew, I drove in high school as a senior. I went to college, did team racing and co-ed racing and women's team as a driver. After graduating from college, I then did an Olympic campaign in 470s as a skipper. I then was a 470 crew. I then was a match racing crew on keelboats. And then I sailed a 49er as a crew. So again, it's not at all a one-track sport. It's something that you learn. My goal, and all of our goals here at PY, is that you learn how to sail any and every type of boat. And these three avenues allow you to kind of check a box and be able to be, the 27-year-old that's working in New York City, and to go down to the yacht club that's down there in Manhattan and say, "Hey, great, can I go do the Tuesday night race after work?" And you'd be able to jump on whatever boat it is, and you'd be able to hold your own. That's sort of our goal through PY. I would like to hear from, let me go to this one right here. So this is our classes for this season. We have intermediate, we have club, and we have travel team. These are the regattas that we typically do, again, like in non-COVID times. So locally, we have our Bays series, stands for Bay Area Youth Sailing. We have a winter series, which is basically the entire school year. And we have a summer series. Each of those series has 4 regattas, and they hit all of the Bay Area yacht clubs. Local regattas also for 420s include PCCs, which we've delayed it twice, maybe 3 times now, but we're supposed to be the next host. Spring Dinghy and Elvstrom Regatta are both hosted at St. Francis typically. They're currently on hold for this season with a 2-week go, no go date. So we're on hold. Summer travel events that we typically do, Nationals North Americans. They used to have a regatta called BBR. It's currently sort of on hold as well, might not happen. Winter travel events that a lot of our folks do, Orange Bowl and Midwinters. Now, I would love to hear from some of our sailors. We're going to start with, so we have 3 sailors we're going to hear from tonight. first sailor is somebody that's just getting into 420s. My goal with hearing from sailors is to kind of give everybody, parents and those that are new, and also the team members, you know, the perspective of what it's like to go through our program. Because it's one thing to say, oh great, you know, I'm going to midwinters and nationals and I'm hoping to qualify for worlds and all these things. But if you're brand new, it's kind of nice to be able to see the progression. So first person we're going to hear from is Tomer.
Hi, my name is Tomer. I'm 13 and I'm currently almost done with 420 intermediate. I started sailing when I was 8 and learned to sail at PY. I moved my way up all the way to Opti Champ Fleet. Recently, I JI'd in the summer, so with all new Learn to Sail kids, very fun. And then I transitioned to 420s last month. PY is a very great place. Coaches are very, very nice. A lot of friends. Yes, the competition, like even within the classes, is good. It's a very, very fun sport, and you get to meet very interesting people.
Awesome. Thanks, Tomer. So yes, Tomer has been all the way through the program. We do have, like, from beginning, sailing is a little munchkin, and then making our way into 420s and hopefully onto the club team soon. And hopefully we're seeing regattas soon as well. Annabelle, is Annabelle on the call? Annabelle is a sailor that started with our program a little bit later, which also, for those that are new to our program, that's a fairly common thing, strangely enough, for here in the Bay Area. So you know, Udi, myself, most of our coaches, we all started sailing when we were, you know, before we knew any better. You know, 3, 4, 5, little kid, you know, thrown on a big boat. But the majority of our sailors actually find us in middle school and sometimes in high school. So Annabelle, you just went, I would love to hear, obviously, your pathway and kind of how you got to where you are today. But also, we just had a very big event in Florida, our midwinters, and this was your first big travel event. So it'd be great to hear your perspective on that.
Yeah, so I'm 15. I'm a sophomore at Crystal Springs, and I started sailing about 2 years ago, knowing absolutely nothing. I started in a very basic FJ intro class before moving into high school sailing, still in the FJ. And then a little over a year ago, I transitioned into 420 intermediate class. I did that for a couple sessions before formally joining the 420 race team over this past summer, and then joining the club team. And this past fall, I was able to get my own boat, and I also sailed in the I-420 for the first time at Santa Cruz PCCs. And then, like Molly mentioned, last week, I came back from C420 Midwinters in Florida. And this was actually my first C420 regatta ever, because due to COVID, I hadn't competed in a Bay series or anything like that outside of PY. And this experience was really incredible. I mean, just long days out on the water in a new venue. You look around and you see 100 other boats with you, 50 others on the starting line. It is not really something you can replicate at practices at PY. And going into a national regatta like this, my partner and I did not expect to do even remotely well results-wise, but I guarantee you will learn so much. You know, we capsized so many times the 5 days that we were there, but nothing can really replace the countless experiences I gained at just this one regatta. And something I love about PY is all the opportunities you are offered. It's always up to you as a sailor how committed you want to be, but you'll get tons of support whether you choose to stick to low commitment regattas like the Bay Series, or work your way up to compete even internationally. The coaches at PY care so much about each individual sailor and really strive to do the best for each one. But personally, I'm looking forward to continuing in the C420 and the national events that are planned for the summer, as well as getting more experience in the I420.
Awesome. Thanks, Annabelle. We are also going to hear from Timmy. Timmy and Mason were the defending champion of the Midwinter Regatta from last year, sort of the last hurrah before the world shut down, and just got back from Midwinters. Timmy, give us a pathway of how you got here and also kind of your take on how Midwinters went. So we've heard Annabelle's, very first big regatta and really any first, Club 420 regatta. And Timmy, you've obviously done a number of events and national, international, all over the place. So tell us about your path.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for the introduction, Molly. Kind of giving me a little like post-Midwinter stress for like having to defend our lead. So hello, everybody. I started at PY about 5-6 years ago. I learned sailing first at a summer camp, and then I came to PY and started in the high school program. I later joined the 420 team in my like late freshman year. And so now I've been on the 420 team for about 4.5 years now. I've gone to like a few different like clinics and definitely like a ton of regattas around both the bay and the country. Midwinters, I have like a few mixed feelings about Midwinters. Like it was definitely a very fun and exciting event. Obviously, there's definitely just a lot of stress in there too, being like a defending champion of that. But it was just a lot of fun to be able to get out there and really compile all the skills that I've learned throughout my entire like sailing career into one moment to really just be able to show my skills against all these other people who've been training for a long time. One of the things that like I love about PY and especially at events is like the race team. And we like to joke that like having the big PYSF burgee, you can see it in like the top photo, the middle photo. It's an intimidation factor. All the boats are scared of starting next to us because they know that we train hard and that we have like amazing coaches and our program is very strong in that way. It was Midwinters, we had a ton of tricky conditions. You had to really have a balance of like multiple different, like be strong and like multiple skills and really have, I think sailing especially is, it's the people who are most successful are people who make the least amount of mistakes. And that's especially true at Midwinters. The conditions were constantly changing and you really had to be able to adapt fast and make gains from there. It was also being a defending champion. It was going into the event. It was a little bit stressful because my partner and I really wanted to do well. And we had the goal of that, but we knew that there would also be more intense competition as well as a bigger fleet. So it would definitely not have been as not necessarily easy, but like definitely as like easy as the previous year. So we had to really work hard in that term.
No, for sure. And having it be like basically the first event since everything's been shut down.
Definitely.
There's some other smaller events that have happened, but this would be the first big event. And, obviously not everybody was up for traveling. But those that were like, yeah, I'm ready for the challenge. Let's figure out how to make it work. And so I think, imagine for those that are listening from home that, you're a really competitive person. You've wanted to race for over a year. You haven't been able to. You have to jump through lots of hoops in order to get on the plane and get through the boat park safely and then go and race, right? So it's like Timmy's saying, it's a lot to manage, just a normal regatta. And then obviously add, everything else. And, a big part of our program and our sport is it's a mental game. You go through practice and you learn all the muscle memory and how to set up your boat. But at the end of the day, it's a big mental game for sure. I would imagine you'd agree with that, Timmy.
Yeah, I totally agree. One of the things like just adding on to that, I would add is like, really, it's important to really if you can go to an event, go, regardless of if you like are going with your same partner or not. Every experience that you can get and like be in the boat is going to help you. Regardless of how like positive or negative it is. One of the things that like a great sailor, Justin, who is previously in the program, once said like, you get out of sailing what you put in. And I totally think that's true. Looking back at my experience, it's all about how much you can get on the water and really take what you're hearing, the feedback you're hearing from your coaches and like internalize it. and learn from that and keep improving.
Awesome. Thanks, Timmy. That's great. The other part Timmy's not mentioning is he's also one of our coaches, and kind of to the PY mantra and kind of what we're always trying to do is it's, you know, across all boards. You're not just, hey, I'm only gonna skipper in high school and that's it. Timmy's was a driver in high school, right? Crew in 420s, and is also coaching opties. And Timmy never sailed opties. Just stepped up and was like, yeah, I'd love to coach. Let's see what we could do, and took it on, and is one of our top opti coaches, which is awesome. It's a truly like full circle. And Tomer, you were a JI, Annabelle, you JI'd last summer too. Again, it's, to me, it's like a really sign of a healthy program that everybody's coming back and able to teach each other and to get better together. The last thing I'm going to point out on this slide is the in-house regatta that you're looking at. So all of our regattas so far have been canceled or postponed. We are going to do just like we did last season, like the in-house regatta being the Sunday, that 420 day. We're going to do a 420 regatta that day. So mark your calendars. I know Udi's going to talk more about like schedule and stuff, but that was for that slide. Do we have, actually, Timmy's mom, is Amy on the call? Hopefully.
I'm here.
Awesome. Okay, so this slide, hello, Amy. This slide is obviously for all of you moms and dads and aunts and uncles and grandmas and grandparents. This is on all of our, you know, mugs and shirts. We very much want the kids to have this be their sport, and everything about sailing, you have to be self-sufficient. You cannot depend on someone else, you know, making that decision on where you want to go on the race course, if it's too windy or not, or how to set your boat up. Those are things that you need to be able to decide on the race course on your own. And it's very important that we give kids ownership of that. And so we're really strict about, you know, like this says, like, do not touch anything, you know, give them high fives, and then we're going to say, go away. But in all reality, we fully understand that they wouldn't be coming to practice and their boats wouldn't be getting to the regattas if you guys weren't there supporting them and making it happen. And so I would love for Amy to kind of run through her view of going through PY. Amy's had lots of kids and has lots of coaches involved with PY. And yeah, so Amy, take it away.
Thanks, Molly. So I don't know anything about sailing. So for me, it's been easy, I think, in a lot of ways to be a parent of a sailor. I have watched a lot of parents with their kids, like the little 8-year-olds, and they're up at 7 a.m. and they're in the hotel, and they have the napkins out, and they're using the salt and pepper, and they're going over the plan for the day and how you're going to do this and that. And I don't have any of that for my kids. They had to fend for themselves because I can't help them. So I have heavily relied on PY because my kids are so passionate about it. And I think the passion comes from the fact, one, Molly and Udi are amazing people, and we are the only program that I can find that I've ever seen that has 2 Olympians, people. This is amazing. So that passion and that perseverance, they both have it. And so you really got to trust the coaches and just let them do their thing. So I guess I'm a good cheerleader because I totally trust you both, and you've been amazing. My kids come home and they work hard and they help with household chores because I know someone, even though no one's ever said anything, but I know someone in PY has said, hey, you know, your parents do a lot for you. You need to help out. And so they do. And look for those things, parents, because that will happen if it hasn't already. So anyway, that's my support. I obviously, gear is important. I help support the gear. My kids now travel with 2 glasses and 2 hats because things get lost. And when you travel distance, even if you go to just, you know, St. Francis Yacht Club and the hat blows off, you got to have 2. So I'm there with the backup, or at least I've told them you need to have at least 2 of everything. And then logistics for travel. I plan ahead. I'm a planner. It's very important that you communicate with the coaches what your plans are. I remember one year, Timmy really wanted to do the whole summer, and I just didn't understand sailing, and I'm like, that's so much money. I don't know. And I said, Timmy, pick one. Go, put on your survey that you're going to pick one. And he did. He picked one, or he talked to the coaches and they picked one. And then next year we picked 2 or 3. And so we kind of built up from there. So I think planning ahead and communicating what your goals are super important, because every family is different and everybody has a different plan. Not everybody's going on Christmas. I dug my heels in. I wasn't going to do it. And then finally I'm like, okay, all right, we'll do that. Empower your kids. I think that just comes with the sport. Just being there for them. There's up days, there's down days, there are long days. Encouraging them, saying how great they did, or how proud you are that they're even out there. I mean, to hear Annabelle's story, and Tatum too, about capsizing and how hard it was, and to watch all these kids, you know, just this big fleet. It's pretty awesome that they're even out there. And then lastly is volunteering. It's super fun to volunteer. I am not the best at being on the boat and helping with the regattas. I forget things, but Molly's very sweet with me. And I still love to do it if she has me, if she wants to have me. It's fun. I meet people, we talk. I get to learn more about the sport. People will hear me say that I'm sailing's biggest fan, which I am, because I'm just amazed. The sport is awesome. And then lastly, I just want to say really quick, if any of you shop at Amazon, and if you sign up for an Amazon Smile account and you put PY down as your donation, it is a great way for you to help PY out by signing up for that Amazon Smile. And I look forward to meeting all of you parents. I got the chance to go to Midwinters. It was super scary going to Florida, but I got the chance to go, and I loved meeting all the new families. And I really look forward to meeting all of you. And I can't wait till we have this all clears, we all get vaccinated, and it's over. So until then, you guys, thank you very much.
Awesome, Amy. That was perfect. And I was looking back through, you know, when we were doing these info nights, I was looking back through pictures, and I have so many pictures of all of the parents over the years hanging out at all of these regattas. You know, they're all in the parking lot. They all go to the yacht club and they all have drinks on the deck and they, you know, watch the sailing. That all of those things we've missed. And I think all of us are in agreement that we really look forward to being able to hang out again sometime soon. So hopefully that is sooner than later. These 2 pictures that are on here are obviously Amy helping out, and you are silly Amy because she's great. So, and truly, most of our parents don't know anything about sailing, and that's okay, because that's how our sailors come to us as well. We help you through whatever we ask of you. So Amy said, yeah, sure, I'll go, you know, and not realizing that the first time I think, you know, hey, it's going to be really cold when we go out on the water, and hey, we're going to be out on the water for 6 hours. Are you okay with that? And okay, so you're just going to look at those sails and write down the number that I tell you, things like that. And, you know, then it graduated to doing timing and helping with rotations. And sometimes we have people helping at boat ramps and letting, you know, pulling dollies out of the water. And then this other picture is Tim Murphy's truck. So Jack and Gavin's parents' truck towing one of our coach boats. And when we someday have regattas again, we typically have 13 plus trailers coming and going to the event. So that is 26, hopefully 26 sets of parents that are able to take our trailers back and forth. And again, I'd say 90% of our parents have never towed something before, and everybody eventually takes a class from me, and we get you to an event, and we set you up with like an easy one first. And then as you get more comfortable, we figure out, the longer trips and such. It's just kind of like the sailing approach that Amy mentioned of, oh my gosh, what is this whole travel idea about? And there's no way you're going to go do 6 events this year. That's thousands of dollars. You do one all season, great. And then, as we start to go to more regattas and you realize, hey, my kid's going to all these, you start towing to more and more. Amy, did you want to say something?
I did. I just want to say that if I can tow, anybody can tow. And I always sign up to tow when I can. And then also I want to say that my Molly and Udi have helped my kids write grants. And have suggested yacht clubs that give grants. And so that has helped us also go to some of the events, which is really cool. And it is definitely empowering the kids when they do that themselves. So thanks, Molly.
Awesome. Yes, for sure. I'll give it a heads up. For those that are new, when we get emails from moms and dads, usually the very first response will be the sailor copied and say, this is awesome. Thanks for reaching out. Sailor, let me know what you're thinking, because we really want to empower the sailors. We know that at the end of the day, mom and dad is probably going to buy the airplane ticket, but we want to have the process be driven by the sailor all the way through. And I am sure that Udi is going to talk on that more as well. This is our fun reality of COVID life. And none of this is new. This is just a reminder for all of you to see it written down. Vaccines are coming. We've got, I keep hearing more and more, hey, I got my second shot. Great. I'm not on that list yet, but more and more people will soon be able to be vaccinated, and we're going to be in a much better place soon. But in the interim, these are the rules that we live by. And at the end of the day, this is just like our sport. It's all an honor system, right? Other than we can look at you and see if you're wearing a mask, but you got to live by our safety practices. You have to make sure you do your symptom check prior to coming down. When you've traveled, we have our 10-day quarantine currently. So we need you to stay home so that, any potential bugs you might have, you keep them with you before you come down to PY. So remember, we are running 25 classes. And when something goes wrong with one of our classes, it obviously affects all of us. And so we really want to make sure that we are being diligent with our rules and following our rules and being honest with each other. While this is up, I would love to hear, I'm hoping, is Tanner on the call? We're going to hear from our coaches. Just a quick, who we are. Tanner, are you on the call?
Hi, how's it going, everybody? I'm Tanner. So I guess just a little bit about me. I started competing like a lot of people in high school when I joined the high school team for Design Tech, and I also started sailing 420s around that time on the travel team, what's known as the travel team now. That was a lot of fun throughout high school. When I graduated after that, I went to the University of Hawaii Manoa and I started competing for them up until COVID, of course, and working towards a mechanical engineering degree. And so that's just a little bit about my sailing past. It's been like 7, 8 years now sailing. And then as for coaching for PY, I've been doing it for the past 4 or 5 years now. It's been a lot of fun. It's been pretty awesome to see how the program has grown.
For sure. And so this season, Tanner is you guys are almost finished with intermediate. And then we'll be coaching the club team with Udi, like you did last season. And also joining you, I don't know if he's on the call, but Chris, are you on the call?
Yes, I am. Hold on. Video as well.
Chris is back.
Sorry,
Okay,
I was a little bit late, everybody.
No worries. So before you start, Chris, so Chris has obviously been at PY for longer than I've ever been here, but Chris, I'm going to give you a quick story about the team race regatta that we just had last season. So Chris was at our team race scrimmage that we had right before Thanksgiving. And after everybody left, he was like, hey, I just really miss being down at PY, outside, on the water. If you need any help coaching, please hit me up. And I am so excited that Chris is now going to be joining us again. So, okay, Chris, tell us your story.
Yes, I'm very excited. Yeah, so I started sailing with PY in 2004. And I sailed all the way through high school. 2008. And I went to Irvine. I sailed 4 years for Irvine. Actually, I got recruited to Irvine, so it was very helpful for getting into school. It was very, very fun sailing for such a competitive team as well. We had a coach the first year, but unfortunately, funding means we got dropped down to a club sports. But that didn't matter because we did wind up making it to team racing nationals one year, just because you persevere and you push through, and sailors, we overcome. That's what we do. Yeah, so I took a little break, but I'm going to be coaching again this season and the coming summer. I'm very excited to be back. That's pretty much it. I have been at PY a long time and always excited to be coaching back again.
Awesome. Super excited you're back as well. And Jack is also coaching. He's doing today, Tanner and Jack both had Learn to Sail with Hannah. We've got 420 intermediate. He's doing team racing. Jack's also going to help out with some of the keelboat stuff. Jack, you want to say hi really quick?
Hello guys, I'm Jack. I've been sailing for about 11 years now. Coaching here at PY probably the past 3 or 4. I currently go to the University of Hawaii. I'm a business major. I started out at Roger Williams University, but have since transferred. And I've done mostly FJs for high school. I helped start sailing team at Design Tech High School. And then I got into 420s a little bit very late. And then since then, I've gotten into high performance sailing like 49ers, and I just got them off. So you always have more to learn. So that's me.
I like it. That's awesome. Last thing from this slide, just the class size of 12. So if you look at how many people are on this call, we have a lot of people. We have about 140 kids that sail. We have 25 classes and we can't have more than 12 in all of our classes. And so making rosters work is incredibly difficult. And I get to be the bad guy a lot. We've had 25 classes, and I've had to tell a lot of people that they weren't able to sail. So again, I am really looking forward to when all of us are vaccinated and we can all, have normal size classes and normal schedules. But this is the reality that we live in right now. And our last and excellent coach that is going to be taking over here, Udi.
Hi everyone. Molly, you running the presentation?
Oh, yeah.
Slides?
Take it.
Okay.
Nope, go for it.
Okay. Thank you, Molly, for that. And great to see all the coaches and the sailors without. Just a second, let me take over that. So we have here.
While he's doing that, if anybody has any questions, feel free to type into the chat. I can try and answer you along the way if needed.
So again, thank you for the sailors and coaches, and thank you, Molly, for the time that we spent for that and guiding to the young generation. And I'm really excited for another season in PY. I'm already 5 years here in PY. And I think all of us came a long way from where we started with 3 or 4 boats on the dock. And now we have dozens, and we actually overbooked almost every class. And we're trying to facilitate everything with everyone. One of the reasons some people probably heard those things, and we saw it the last season or heard me again on site. One of the reasons it's so important for us to repeat that first, to have a reminder what are we here for and what is our goals and how we operate. And also, and it's another reason I'm very excited. We have a lot of newbies this season. We kind of did a lot of changes in the intermediate class that set you up for success and prepare you more to the club and race team later on. We have a lot of sailors that move up during the last season from the intermediate to the club, and we have now as well. I did meet some of our intermediate sailors earlier this month, just before I need to go to leave and quarantine myself again, coming back from the midwinters. And it was a pleasure to meet you and to see your how much you excited for go sailing. I understand that we have a lot of Zoom meeting. That's another one. And I hope to see you more and more on the water. Just following up on our mission statement, we do follow up on the character, community, and competitiveness. And the way I see it is, at the end of the day, it's a character. You have to be accountable for your actions and your performance on the water, to be respectful to everything around us. If it's the staff and the other coaches, if it's to your teammates, it's your friends run at the volunteers, if we have a regattas, to the equipment, everything. We have to have the right character. It's one of the things that I'm a big believer. We work as a team and we help one each other, and that's one of the things that drive and in front of PY and on our leading on our values. Community, obviously, one of the things that we are doing in PY, and one of the things that PY stands out is the community that we are. It's almost like a family community, like Amy said, that we are traveling and we have all the opportunities. We act as a family, we support one each other. And I had a situation this last event that one of our team members said, "Oh, I didn't want to roll over our sailor at the start," which is, and I told him that's a great and it's very honorable from you to say something like that. But at the moment when you're racing, do your best for yourself. So it was a great action for him to say, "I didn't want to destroy the start," and that's something that actually need to balance that sometimes. Again, be positive part of that. We are part of a new marina, amazing, beautiful marina that we are taking part of that. So be part of that, and hopefully we'll see soon the clubhouse, and we can be, after COVID, we can be part of that. And competitiveness, it's one of the things that I love that, and it's something that led me all my life. And some of you know me and hear me joking around, second is the first loser. And it's something that I love. I will always be there to push you harder, to work harder, and to be the better version of yourself, to seek for better results, to seek for improvement, and how to be the best sailor you can be. And it doesn't take away anything from the community or the character of being a team player. And to be a team player and to work as a team is a very, very big part of your own success. So this is something those three things I strongly believe in, and it's led PY all along the last few years. And just a brief expectation. We usually have in a normal season when we have 15 to 17 boats in one class, and we have a lot of sailors, or more than 30 sailors in one class. We are running questionnaire, and we send the expectation that it's harder when it's a big class. Now it's easier to monitor because we are only 12. Just a small reminder. We have to remember to treat all your team members or coaches, doesn't matter if it's your coach or different classes coach. If we go to regard to race officials, competitors, doesn't matter if you want to beat them on the water, we have to treat them with respect and fairness. Volunteers, of course, and spectators. And of course, the property that we sell with, if it's our own equipment or the club equipment, and definitely the facilities that we are using. West Point, like we said, part of our mission is the environment and the culture around it. West Point is one of the cleanest marina that I've seen. I've been all around the world, and we actually have the salt water all around us. And there is always the leftover on the paper bags or plastic bags for our snacks or the e-tape that we're using a lot in the boat and everything. Just remember to collect it after you use it. It doesn't matter if it's you or someone else. Make sure that we keep the sides clean. Hold yourself and your competitors to a high bar of sportsmanship. One of the things that I've seen in the last winter, and it was almost painful to see, and one of our team members were like, it was super light wind and all our opponents were like start rocking the boat. It's another skill and technique for those parents that can push the boat forward, actually pop the boat forward. And we were the only one that didn't do that. As a coach, it was very painful and always like upsetting to see that, oh, if they are breaking the rules, why are we not doing it? And although that we lost 5 or 6 boats because of that and paid a big price, I'm really proud of our sailors that not doing it, holding themselves and to the high bar of sportsmanship, following the rules and try to beat and to be the first and to be the best possibly way, following the right rules, and something that I always hold you accountable. We will see some sailors lying and pushing the limits and breaking the rules, not in our program, not in the 420 team. And obviously this is very hard during COVID time, and the distance and try to keep the team apart, but we always need to remember to help your teammates and support the PYS family at every opportunity. I always love to see on the launching ramp helping one each other. I still trying to facilitate. Obviously we have to do it with a social distance, but whatever it is, to help one another rig the boat, to guide one another, to tweak the boat and everything. We have to be smart and safe with the COVID, but this is something that I expect from all of the sailors to do so. A little bit about the culture that we built in PYSF and the 420. And it's something that always leading me as a coach, and this is how I want to see the team. The 3 main factors is the performance and effort. And no matter how good you are or not, it determines a lot by how much you will push yourself and all the time try to upgrade and to tweak and to enhance your performance. It comes with the effort, it comes with your commitment. You have to be accountable for that. At the end of the day, no matter how much, and I know that I have a lot of drive and I push you, and often even I will yell at you on the water that if you're not doing the right thing that you've been taught, unfortunately. You have to put the right effort to do your best. It's okay if you try and not succeed, but not trying to push yourself to be the best and to maximize your effort on the water. That's what will hold you back at your performance later. And you need to push yourself harder and take part of that. And you need to have the right intention to compete and to be your best at every day, at every practice, even before you launch the water. And the second thing that I see part of a success, and it doesn't mean that when I'm saying success, it's not just a result, it's the coachability. At the end of the day, you are expected obviously to listen, but to go and try to take what you learn and to put it to apply it into the practice. And you have to have the thought around that and to process the information, to engage with us, the coaches and your teammates. If there's always room to ask questions, I always gave the time for every athlete that asked the question and asked to spend some more time on the boat. I always find the time and effort to ask someone else to guide them through that. And I know that we have a lot on our plate, especially now with COVID. It's very hard, but with school and maybe other things that you are doing throughout the week, for me, it's very important to communicate. Yes, I have a high expectation, but I never said no to an athlete or sailor, not the parents, that came to me and communicate about an issue and ask a question, and never like prevent for him to go forward on that. As a team member, you are expected to be able to receive the feedback from us, but also and to try to do that on the water and try to apply that, but also you are expected to help the other and to coach and guide others. And that's the third part is the teamwork around that. I'm a big believer of like the teamwork with it's what lead you to success, and that's what being so awesome about PY. At every event that I've been in the last 5 years and guiding PY, it's awesome to see. We always help on each other. We are the only team that came the earliest and leaving the latest, checking the boat, working as a team. At the beginning, I need to facilitate it. Now it's almost coming automatically. You help, you guide, you assist. Everything that it means to be a cheer, everything it means for you to be a team player and teamwork. I, at one point when I'm coaching, yes, I will push the top sailors and that come and are ready to do a feedback, but I'm always will be there with the last sailors at the finish line. And for me, it's very important that the lowest performance sailors will be pushed harder and harder. And as much as we have more even team, then my work will become easier. I like all the sailors to be at the same level. I try to give my attention to everyone, like he's the only sailor on the water. And only like this, when we have a bigger group in the same level, can challenge one each other consistently. Communication. At the end of the day, communication is one of the most important thing in a boat, a double-handed boat or a teamwork, but as well with the coaches and your teamwork and your teammate, and as well with your parents. When we are talking about communication, we're expecting you to communicate with us and not your parents. If you are late, if you are behind schedule, if there is an issue or travel logistics, when it comes to a matter of parents, if it's like more a budget or like planning to go to a bigger trips, we are communicating with the parents, but the communication most of the time trying to be with the sailors. I want to say that to be honest with yourself and your coach and your partner, it's the easiest way to find an excuse, but it's the harder and it's the right way to approach the reality, to approach what's actually happening, and to deal with the consequence sometimes, and in order to learn and to be better the next time. And this time, the reason I bold the honest is like we are living in a different reality and time with the COVID, and I think in general, as a younger community, most of us high school and the coaches are still young, we are not at risk. But when we're asking about COVID and all the COVID protocol and the checks and the symptom checks and everything, we ask you to be honest, because it's not that you're risking ask the coaches or your actually teammate on a walk on your other teammates on the boat or other teammates. We are risking our families and the other population. So I'm asking you to be honest. Usually I have a high requirements and demands to attend all the practices. Please take the time, check yourself. If you ever doubt, stay at home, be safe. No one will judge you for that, and we will find a solution for that. And for anything else, if you are intending to think that you're going to miss practice, I do expect you to notice us, one of the coaches in the group chat or individually if it's something more personally. 24 hours ahead. I already had a couple of emails that sailors mentioned ahead because they are junior years, they have a couple of tests, SATs, stuff like that. Please do that. It's much easier to manage a team like that. We moved this season to the app called Signal, and we already have most of the group chat over there. And we are not using WhatsApp anymore. I'm still struggling with the videos and the footage over there, but I'm sure I will learn soon. Apparently it's a safer app that most of the parents ask for that, or a lot of parents ask for that. So we will use that. Hopefully the videos that we used to work in the past, we will walk through that. email, but remember that email is, I'm not 100% available on emails, and the coaches were most of the time on the water. So texting is more immediate, and be respectful for others. So we do prefer not to text after 10 p.m. or before 8 a.m. in the morning. Even if other people are awake, it doesn't matter. We do need to respect their time. If you are using emails, you are expected to answer in the next 48 hours. So when you are in the team, in the signal chat, you are expected to answer if there is any question over there or communication over there in the 24 hours. So try to have the habit every day to check in the signal app. And showing up to practice, gear. I know that you heard it a lot, and obviously when you think about gear, you all the time think about, okay, my life jacket, my sailing gear, my wet grip gear, and maybe a boots. And yes, definitely, but I do want you to think, when you think about a gear, is more about life jacket. A lot of people are trying to push a little bit the Coast Guard approval life jacket. There are some Coast Guard, non-Coast Guard approval life jacket that are more comfortable, more performance, but we have to think about liability and focus on the rules. And I always say, races, compete as practice as you compete. So use what you're going to use in races. So you do need the Coast Guard approval life jacket. You need to have a whistle always with you. Sometimes I forget myself, so it's always good to have another one on the water. In your life jacket, and I expected every sailor, not every team, to have a spare shackle, E-tape, a short line of 3 or 4 feet of like 4 or 5 millimeters thickness, pin ringing. That's in the life jacket. There's numerous of times that I saw sailors without it, and there was 10 times more situation that those few things actually save the practice or save the day of sailing and racing. And it's mandatory. It's not that heavy. It's mandatory to have it over there for us in our practices. I'm expecting everyone to have that. Obviously, sailing boots, proper sailing boots. There's no any excuses to be barefoot here in the Bay Area. The water are very cold, and it's also better performance and grip. Watch. Every sailor need to have a watch. So we have 2 in the boat. So one is missing. I don't find a situation with a boat without a watch. Harness for the cruise, of course, spinning, and all involved of sailing gear. Coming to Sunday practices, remember to bring a workout clothes and sneakers, and not always, but often, especially if there's some issues with the weather, we are doing some workouts. Boat maintenance and preparation. Some of you are sailing with PYSF boats. Obviously, if there's any issue with these boats, you have to communicate with the coaches, and we'll find a solution for that. But even then, we will provide the equipment, and you guys, most likely, if it's not too much, you will need to do that. It's a learning skill that you have to do it. You have to able to know and operate your own boat, since in racing, some things there's always breakdown. If you know how to operate those things, you finish a race, and you finish a race well, instead of retiring and having too many points. And definitely, if it's your own boat, your boat need to be race ready. Like tomorrow is the most important thing. I always find excuses in that, and there's no excuse for that. Besides racing sales, your boat need to be race ready. And if we are doing the proper checklist, there's no any reason for a halyard to break down or a bungee to rip or anything. If we check the boat properly, it's only 1 month of session, and even every week to check the boat. If you check it properly, nothing will happen, or we reduce the chances that something will happen by a lot. Which brings me to the next step. At the end of the day, sailing, at some situations, especially in the bay, can be a safety hazard. And safety is it's one of the biggest important things that we always avoid as a program, as coaches. That's why one of the reasons we want your boat ready. That's why we want you to be coachable and disciplined. And I'm all about discipline. And when we want to go to that, to achieve higher level of sailing, this discipline and requirements, it's bring you to a higher level of performance. If you are acting safely, then we can push one another even in the rough condition that the bay is offering. at the end of the day, there's only 1 or 2 coaches and at least six boats on the water. You need to be smart, to know how to listen, to be responsible at all costs to the sound, the safety manners, and to go walk through the structure and the guidelines of the practice. If we don't have that, we can easily lose control, especially when something happens. It's easily the next thing is happening very quickly. And I do ask from you, and I will not, and I'm saying it also to the parents here that are listening, will not tolerate something that risking any safety. Even if you think you are safe for yourself, you're taking my attention, and then you're risking the rest of the team. And that's something that me as a coach, I don't accept it in my practices. Commitment, it's something that we are always asked, and I think it's another big factor of success and enhancement of your performance. And usually we ask 80%, and over a long season of 2.5, 3 months. This session, in this weird, awkward year, it's only 1 month. And I think it's quite easy to attend the 80%. Obviously, if something happens, if you're sick or any COVID issues, don't take any risk. But I do expect everyone to show up to all the practices. And if there's any issue, like I said earlier, communicate ahead. And obviously with COVID and the limitation, there's issue to, if there's any symptoms or any risk that you were exposed, don't take any chance. But on the other hand, understand, remember that if you're not showing to practice, it's not that I have 30 sailors and always have a spare of people on the motorboat or what we call on the bench that they can fill in. And if you're not coming up to practice, you're most likely hurting your teammates, because I do not like, and we're trying to limit it as much as we can, the mix of pairing throughout the practice, at least for the same week. So if something happened, we at least are not risking others. So please take care of that and be aware of that. And in general, discipline, like I said, do not take part of any illegal activities, of course, drug and alcohol. The pairing, we are deciding the pairing. There's a lot of factors around it. And it's about performance, feedback from the sailors that we all the time check and asking, and the same level, how they work together, and what's their longer goal term. Our goal is actually to pair a team in a 420 that will last definitely for the same season, but way more. And it's one of the factors for success, to change every week or every month or every season your teammates, no matter how both of you good are. It's not as good as one team that even less good at or less talented. One team that works together can have way better results. Again, also here, the skipper and the crew, it will be made by the coach. And actually this upcoming season to the race team, I might mix a lot. I'm a big fan of that, because in order to be a good skipper, for example, you have to understand very well the role of the crew, vice versa. If you want to be a good crew, you have to drive every once in a while to understand the challenges and the opportunity and how we can help on each other from different roles in the boat. We talked about the progression and the pathway just briefly. Those 420 intermediate, I know that you almost summarizing your season, but and I mentioned it earlier in the season, we do expect, I know that it's a lot to learn and a lot to take in the beginning. We do expect from you to understand at least 80% of the things that you've been taught, and to execute 50%. We understand it takes more time, definitely more than a month to master a skill. In the club team, all those things that we are talking about, all these sailing rules or techniques and tweaks or fundamentals or other stuff that involve the skills that are required to perform good in 420, you are required to master those skills. And obviously you are expected to compete locally. But once you master that and you can polish those events, ready to polish that is where you're moving to the race team and the travel team. And when we get to the polish team, to the race team, we are trying to polish those skills to have to learn new tweak skill skill set, that you have more tools in your toolbox. And we are thinking more about racing in a big fleet, racing in a national event, and those sailors are expected and to travel to the East Coast or to national events and international events. Just to a news from today, we had 4 teams that went on a route and a path to try to qualify for the I-420 World Championship in the USA, in the Team USA. At the moment, it seems that all the 4 teams is something. It's a great news for PY, and I'm very proud that all 4 teams, 8 sailors from PY, accomplished that. They are in the team and they will represent PY and the US in the World Championship. Hopefully, that will take part this summer. This is the 2nd time in a row. We had those sailors as well did it this past season, and unfortunately this World Championship was canceled due to COVID. But this year, we are hoping that the World Championship will happen. And just to all of you, those are like just starting now or doing the club, this opportunity exists. If you seek to get better and to race more nationally or internationally, this opportunity exists, and just reach out and we will guide you how to do that. Beyond that, what we try to do a lot is that there's a lot of private coaching, and sometimes I'm limited with the time, but we have other coaches in PY that are always available. I'm trying to facilitate a lot of I-420X practices. And one of the things that about I-420 practices, for all the sailors that so far sell the I-420 practices, they came back and said, wow, that makes a big difference. I'm always trying to explain the differences. I-420 is very similar boat, a bit more performance. It's actually the same size, same equipment, couple of tweaks in the boat. But the big difference, the I-420 is a bit more lighter and fine tuning. You learn the fine tuning. And when you're doing an arrow in a club 420, you will probably pay 1 or 2%. When you're doing an arrow in I-420, you're paying 10 to 20% easily, at least 10%, sometimes 15 to 20%. And when you see this 15, 20% of error, then you realize, okay, I have to polish this technique. I have to have better skill. I have to be more gentle, more accurate with my performance or tuning the boat. So I'm a big fan of what the I-420 brings. And those sailors that sailed that in the last couple of years always came back, oh, that made me a better sailor. And I couldn't be as good as I am today without this I-420 experience. We organize clinics if it's locally, and there's a couple of big clinics that are always, I don't know about what's going on with CISA this year, but usually we have a CISA, and it's in California, in LA, Long Beach, and this year it most likely will not happen. But we also have Brooke Gonzalez in Rhode Island, that some of our sailors experience that. Even if you will not get accepted, it's always a great experience to go through the application and to learn from that and understand better what it takes. Those clinics offer a lot to learn, a lot of experts in the field. Brooke Gonzalez, those that are seeking to get to the college, it's run by college coaches, and it's a great opportunity to meet those college coaches and to put the face into the emails that you guys are sending them consistently. Going back to the midwinterns that we talked earlier in this info night, our race travel team, we're trying to put it in a way that it's represent the gold fleet, and the club team is represent the silver fleet nationally. And it's exactly what we saw this past midwinters. Our sailors, most of them made the gold fleet from the top all the way to the mid and bottom of the gold fleet. We had a couple of sailors with a couple of more tweaks that just missed the goals by a little bit, but then they performed excellent and were the top sailors in the silver fleet. So that was great to see that, and I think the distribution of PY sailors represent exactly the national level, and we have everything at home. So that's a great thing that we managed to build in PY. Briefly, just before we finish that, the race team criteria, to get to the race travel team, I always look for people to master the technique, the mechanic of the board, the tactical understanding, and the skill in the board. A few things for me that it's a must is the commitment, discipline, all the red part, assignments that I give to others, and the coachability, the communication, and teamwork that I already talked. You have to be able to rig the equipment properly, and to, if you capsize, to ride the boat up. Otherwise, since we're going to debate safety factor. Besides that is all the element of if it's fitness, of course, you have to be fit and be able to sail outside in a bay few hours. And all the other skills that we always, it's the fundamental skills of racing. If it's straight line, upwind or downwind, or reach, tacks, jibes, set and down, start is a big factor that we're always trying to improve and tweak. Rules, you have to understand the basic rules. And of course, at the end of the day, racing is all about the strategy and tactics. And I do expect to see from sailors a progress along their path. And lastly, something that all of the sailors probably roll their eyes a lot now. I have high requirements from the sailors for the assignments. And in the past, I always tried to innovate myself and try to tweak with the sailors, or try to make it interesting. I added the videos on the group chat. We did a little bit of Google Drive, or sharing some reflection, or try to reflect right away on a specific video. All the time to tweak it and everything. This season, we're going to do something a little bit different, but it's something that you will be required to do from practice to practice. And for me, it will be a big estimate to see how your progress is, and the self-reflection and how you react and coach yourself, and how you process the information, how you're trying to apply it, what's the goals that you set from one practice to another. That's the biggest factor of your path going forward. Every once in a while, a sailor will be a lack of information. Sometimes it's about start, sometimes it's about triggering and setting. So I will give him an assignment, but it doesn't mean that he's doing it by himself. He will start it, and then the rest of the team will join in and do that. And we did it several times in the past. And at the end of the season, I will try to make Zoom meetings, especially after the regatta, with some video with all the sailors. This past season, I did the Zoom meeting more like in the goal settings with some of the sailors. And every time I tweak that with COVID time, it's super hard. I do expect from everyone to have physical and or digital notebook. It's great to have something on site, but it's great also to have something digital, because the physical notebook getting wet, disappeared, getting lost, whatever it is, the dog ate your notebook. And the digital in our age of the technology, it's a great to have it, because it's always there, and it's always great to see some notes that you wrote a few years back. This year, like I said, this season, every time I'm trying to innovate what we are doing. We're going to have a daily practice assessment. I've checked with a couple of sailors. It should take like 10 to 20 minutes each time. It's practice. It's a short homework. I don't like to call it homework. Again, this is a brief how it looks like. You have like the basic information, what day to day, who you sell with, what was the practice, what was your goal this practice, what was the condition, where exactly did we sell in the bay, if it's outside a specific area. The second part, you will be self mindset assessment, how much you were coachable, how much effort and intensity, discipline. I can show you the daily. Again, just briefly, the sea state, the wind condition, the practice, what settings you were sailing, what was your practice goal, and if you sail with someone else. Later on, we are moving to the coachability and adaptation during the practice, intensity and effort, discipline, board preparation. And again, here's where you need to be honest with yourself, because this is how you can get better and better along the way. The communication and teamwork. Towards the end, it's something that we're always using. I do expect at least one, if you can write more, one skill to improve. And how do you plan to improve it the next practice? And then it's going back to your goal. Okay, what's your goal today? How you fix the same skill that you were trying that you were struggling the last practice or a couple of practices ago. And that's on one hand, you can do one skill at least, or at 3, up to 3, not more than 3. And then on the other hand, what did you do well? We always want to finish on a positive note. What did you do well? Why and why it went well. I'm happy that you had a great speed today, but why exactly did you have a great speed today? You're keeping the boat more flat, you communicate better with your teammate, etc., etc. If there wasn't any videos, there was a part that you asked you if there was any video and you need to address yes or no, and if so, what did you learn from the video? And it's not here. I think it's in a different version of the assessment. And at the end of the day, how well did you do that? How well did you do the last practice? And the reason is there is a question here from 1 to 6. There's a lot of theory around that, but at the end of the day, I would like to, at the end of the season, we are going to compare how well you did in the practices relative to your effort, or to your coachability, or to your teamwork and communication, or maybe it was you did very well because it was a start practice, so you did very well because it was strong condition or light condition. So we can tweak, and that will be your like assignment at the end of the season. Every sailor will have his own practice assessment, and you can be you will be able to do your own database analysis after your performance. I think that's it for today. I know I took it a bit more time than expected, and feel free if you have any question now, and as well you know how to reach me out if it's through Signal, phone call, or email. Again, email I'm less available directly. It's less immediate. It's more later, and the Signal app, it's a more quicker responses. And of course, join our mailing list and let us know how we can help. That's all for me. So I'm sorry for all the information, but I think it's very important and that we're all on the same page. So thank you very much for that.
No, for sure. Thank you, Udi. It's no reason to be sorry. There's a lot of information to cover and it's all important. Does anybody have any questions? There actually wasn't a lot in the chat, but if anybody wants to say anything or ask any questions while anybody's trying to unmute themselves. I do want to thank everybody that spoke tonight, sailors and parents and coaches. Again, we have a very, very busy season, and the 420s are kind of just getting started. Hopeful that maybe regattas might happen. The 2 at St. Francis are still on the calendar. They currently have it as practice days in the seasons, but if it turns into a regatta, then great. Maybe we can go do that. But if not, we for sure are going to have the one in April. So hopefully, moms and dads, we'd love to organize some spectator boats so you guys can get out and see, and also, join Amy on the start boat and help with running races with me. Yes, we'll see you down at practice hopefully soon. Thank you all for joining the meeting.
Thank you, everyone.